All right, let's talk about my low buy for 2024. I have decided to attempt a low buy again for 2024. I actually attempted a low buy last year and shared that journey with my patrons as part of like the monthly memo updates and kind of failed miserably. I focused a lot last year on one in, one out and selling things to then use that money to buy more planner things. And my low buy last year was really focused on planning and stationery. And what I found out is that I have quite the hoard. I am willing to sell a lot of things, and the minute I would sell something, that money would be put towards something new right away, and I wasn't really banking up the funds like I thought I would and being more intentional with the spending. So I ended up still acquiring a lot of things in 2023 and spending a lot more money than I wanted to, especially on stationery, fountain pens, planners, you know, the usual rabbit hole that is the expense of this hobby if you're willing to go in too deep like I am. So for 2024, I decided that I wanted to shift things up a little bit and I wanted to try again. So I will be doing a low buy for 2024. I intend to make some purchases, but I'm going to be shifting things up just a little bit. So the first change is that I'm applying my low buy across all aspects of my personal life. So not only stationery, fountain pens, and planners, but also clothing, buying alcohol when we go out to eat, things like that, purses, bags, houseplants. Lord knows I do not need another houseplant. So the umbrella is a little bit broader. I am doing this low buy with more of a focus on limiting the number of items in. If you happen to see my stationery reorganization / decluttering video, I mentioned that I'm really good at getting rid of things. Letting things go is not my problem. I can do a destash and clear a lot of stuff very quickly. The problem is that I still bring things in. So even though I'll part with a lot of items, and I did make a really good dent on my stationery collection in 2023 to the point where things feel quite manageable now. So my main primary objective with my 2024 low buy is to limit the number of items coming in, especially until post move if I can help it, because I don't want to have to move all those extra objects. The secondary objective to my low buy is to really adjust my mindset on my purchases. As I mentioned, I'm really good at getting rid of stuff, but I'm also really good at bringing things in, and I tend to make purchases impulsively, but with a mindset of it not being a permanent object in my home. Now, I don't think it's a bad practice to purchase something and resell items that you are not using. In fact, I think it's a really good habit to have, but I will justify a very expensive purchase with the mindset that I can always resell it later. And I kind of view objects as like a 6-month half-life before I'm probably going to destash it. And I think I want to get myself in a place where I'm making more intentional purchases and look at these items as truly like, this is a lifelong partnership. Like, I want to have this cover with me for the memories and for use for as long as its life cycle can be. Now, I like to switch my planners up, so maybe that's reaching a little bit, but I'd say that's my secondary objective. And then third, of course, is to save some money, but that's not my primary purpose of doing a low buy. I think that is probably the primary purpose for a lot of people, but we're in a very fortunate situation financially. So if I can save some money, it's definitely going to help with the move. I have some goals in my health and fitness area, so I'm hoping to kind of queue up all that money to hopefully buy some new clothing once I hit my goal there. But for the most part, really focusing on items in. Okay, so I think that kind of covers the why. I think having a why is really important, especially if you're going to challenge yourself to do something for 365 days. So let me show you how I have set up my guidelines and how I'm tracking this in my planner. This is my personal Filofax Ranger, by the way. If you haven't seen any of my other videos on this, Rings has kind of been my baby in 2024. Okay, so I have used a handful of habit trackers to help me kind of visualize My low buy for 2024. First of all, I made myself a buying guidelines spread, and I'll have to link the YouTuber who I pulled this particular idea from. I want to say her name is Grace, but I could have that completely wrong. I'll have her handle in the description bar for you so you can go check out her videos. But she made a list of red items, yellow items, and green light items when it came to her low buy for this year. And I believe her intention is red items are absolutely do not buy. And I kind of made that list with this intention, but I would say a month into it, red is really more of like, I need to stop, pause, and talk to someone about that purchase, wait on it, have it sit for a while. It's one of the items that I absolutely probably don't need in my home. Yellow are cognizant purchases, so things that I more or less know I'm gonna have to spend money on, but I don't want to be I need to approach with some caution because they're items that I could veer off the rails a little bit. And then green items, because I think if you focus too much on what you can't do, things can feel really overwhelming. So I made sure to add some green items. What are things that were no problem? I can spend money on these things, so that I felt like I had a little bit of freedom in the mindset of this list. So red items, for example, for me were planners, planner covers, notebooks, printed inserts, clothing, jackets, shoes, purses, belt bags, getting my hair colored, and getting my nails done. I've been painting mine myself because I've got nail polish to use up. Stickers, Daiso runs in particular. I go bananas anytime I get into a Daiso. I mentioned alcohol at restaurants and house plants. Those are just some of the things that kind of came to mind when I put this list together. Yellow would be toiletry replacement. So if I run out of, say, my morning serum, I can replace that serum once I work through whatever backlog that I have in my inventory in the bathroom. Replacement makeup as well. I can get a pair of replacement running shoes. Sunscreen, things that are kind of needs, but I will probably go for like my usual item. I would like to avoid trying new products this year because I don't know about you guys, but anytime I try something new, it just does not work out. At this point, I am pretty well like set on what my makeup is and things like that. So probably going to stick to replacements. Other things I put on here that are okay yellow purchases would be replacement atramentis archive ink. I doubt I'll run out of that, but if I did, I could replace that. If for some reason I destroyed my Pilot Vanishing Point, because it has happened to me, I put that on the list as like a comfort thing. Digital products, I said we're good to go, so Kindle books are fine. I'll probably prioritize getting them from the library, but I like to get audiobooks or Kindle books from time to time. Video games digitally, those are okay because that's providing me entertainment that isn't shopping. And it's yellow because these are items I don't typically have issues with my spending, but could become a problem as I'm funneling down my spending on my red items. And then like printable inserts are like a digital product because I like to support other shops in the community if they've got a product that's exactly what I need, or I don't know, I'm a sucker for Peanuts Planner Co. inserts, so you know, I just had to keep my options open. And some example of some green items are like hiking passes, concerts, movie tickets, more experience things. As I mentioned, my personal reason for doing this low buy is really to limit items coming in and having a better mindset towards intentional purchases for the items that I do bring in over saving money, because as I mentioned, we're in a pretty good situation with our finances. Of course, I would love to save money, so if we can do things for free, or if it's something I'm not that interested in, I want to practice saying no. Like sometimes we say yes to go see movies that I have absolutely no interest in, and we can save ourselves the $50 by saying no. But I am okay with spending money on experiences over things, so I added those to my green light items, and they're things that make me happy and bring a lot of joy and create a lot of memories, and that's kind of where I want to funnel my money to go in 2024. Okay, so this is a living list. I'm gonna add to it, remove from it, adjust as I kind of run into hurdles, but just so you kind of get the idea. And I'm really viewing these more as guidelines versus hard and fast rules, because sometimes you just don't know what life is gonna throw at you. But I find writing things down always provides a little bit of intention, and it's good. It's just a good thing for me. So then I have a monthly annual habit tracker with notes insert for my shop, and I'm using this to track my actual no buy. So I come in every day and I get to put a check mark if I went through the entire day without spending any of my personal money. Now, as I mentioned, like, just to be clear, paying rent is like, I wouldn't say like, oh, I don't get a check mark if we paid rent that day. Like, that's a bill, that's a must-have expense. Groceries are the same. I'm trying to be more cognizant to not get things that we don't need when we get groceries, like random treats and last minute checkout candy bars, that kind of thing. But I'm not counting those towards this. This is really more about personal spending on myself type of thing that I am tracking, because that's where I have the biggest problem with my finances. So if I don't spend any money, I get to go ahead and check this off. If I purchase something, what I'm doing is I'm writing the number, and this is where we'll kind of get into this list over here. I'm writing down the days that I do spend money on something, and I'm highlighting it so that I can see it. So for the month of January, I made 3 purchases for myself that were not green light items, and I've gone ahead and I've added them on the list over here to the right. So because I don't expect 100% success, I'm not doing a no buy year, I'm doing a low buy year, because that's what I felt was a better fit for me and my personality. I am trying to limit myself to 24 items in 2024. So again, these are things that I am buying for myself. They might be red light items, they might be yellow light items, but these are things that I have personally brought in for myself. I'm not including gifts. I had initially thought I would write down and kind of include gifts I receive from like family members or birthday presents, things like that on the list, because they are items coming in. But after chatting about that a little bit with some of my patrons, they recommended just letting gifts be gifts, and I'm pretty good. Last year I developed a good habit of kind of a one in and one out. So I did notice like Christmas, I think I had like 10 things come in between like clothing and stationery stuff and things like that. And I did pretty good about decluttering some stuff when I did that declutter reorganization video. So I think it balanced out. So I'm gonna let gifts be gifts, but if I purchase something for myself, I'm going ahead and I'm tracking that. I'll go over what was in here in January towards the end, and I think we'll kind of do that as part of like the quarterly update videos for the low buy. So let me just show you the last part here. The last insert I am using two that are helping me with this is a wish list and my spending and package tracker. So the wish list, what I am doing is anytime I want something, I'm adding it to the wish list, and I kind of go back and forth. Sometimes when I add something to a wish list, it reminds me that I want it, and it kind of like plants the seed because I've written it down. It makes it feel more concrete. Versus like if you don't write it down, sometimes you forget about it. But I try and add things if I've been thinking about it all day and we get to the end of the day as part of my like evening planning routine, I'll go ahead and add it to my wish list. If it's stuck around with me for that long, I want to write it down. When I add it to my wish list, I'm adding the date that I add that item to my wish list, and then I've categorized it. So I just did like PC and like an asterisk, so planner, clothing, or other, because those are kind of my personal 3 categories. And as you can tell, most of the items are planner related because that is where I have a problem. But the reason I'm adding the date is I want to let things kind of age out. I don't want to add something to my wish list and then buy it the same day. I want to add something to my wish list, let it simmer for, 2 days, maybe a week, if not a month. And if it's something that I still really want and can kind of justify needing it, and I'm willing to take up one of my 24 item slots with it, then I'll go ahead and be able to make that purchase. And I've got the check marks over here so I can do that. What I think I want to do as part of my weekly planning routine, I want to take my mild liner and maybe like highlight out just the date when a week has passed so I can tell what has sat on there long, and then maybe use a different highlighter for my impulse purchases. So like this one right here, I know was an impulse purchase. I added it to my wish list and checked out with it the same day, and slight regret on that, let me tell you, but we'll get into that into a minute. So that's how I'm planning on using the wish list. I really want things to kind of sit and marinate to decide if I really want them, and I'm also kind of prioritizing getting things secondhand this year as much as possible, and sometimes that means that things sell. So there's a bit of this like inner battle of like, oh gosh, it's a single secondhand item, and there's a bit of FOMO, like check out right away. But now I'm kind of viewing it as if it's gone before the week is up, then it just wasn't meant to be, and I've been kind of trying to reframe my mindset around that. Okay, so the spending and package tracker, this one is available in my shop, by the way, if you're looking for it, but this is my personal money check register. We do all of our finances digitally between my husband and I in our household budget, but for my own like fun money spending, I do better with things on paper, so I keep track of it here and digitally. We use YNAB. You need a budget if you're curious. But the thing that I'm doing on here, because I track digital spending, which I said if it's a digital product for now, those are yellow items, so proceed with caution, but they're pretty much okay to purchase, along with some of those green item things. And then sometimes I just like track a package, so maybe we ordered like toilet paper for the house online, and that is a house expense that didn't come out of my personal, fun money. So I'll track those packages on here so I don't lose them. But what I'm doing on here is, you'll notice with the green, I'm highlighting the 24 item purchases so that I can see the dollar amounts that went with each of those, so that at the end of the year I'll be able to do a running total of how much did my 24 items cost. And if I go over 24, then I'll just create another list, and I'll keep an audit of that as well. Okay, so I think that kind of covers the like how and the what I'm doing and the how I'm kind of handling the impulses a little bit, but let's do a recap of what came in February. So I brought in 3 things. I'm not going to talk about the 4th one quite yet because I don't have it in hand. 3 things in 1 month. Really, it should not be more than 2 if I want to keep up with this, but looking at my spending patterns over the year, January, March, September, November, those are the 4 months where I'm usually spending the most amount of money, and they kind of correspond with like planner release dates, so we're starting to see a pattern here. But let's talk about the 3 things that I got. So first of all, I love her. So the first 2 items were definitely on the red list, but this is a Filofax Pocket Ranger. I found this on eBay, and I won't lie, even though I knew I wanted to do a no-buy for 2024, I was aggressively looking for this. I was checking eBay every single morning, just like out of habit with my coffee, and all of a sudden one appeared, and I jumped on it. I cannot lie, no regret. I had quite the adrenaline rush. Gosh, I sound like I have a problem. But anyway, I got this. It took an entire month to get to me, but she's my everything. I mentioned in my 90-day ring planner update video that I was going to be setting up a pocket rings as my on-the-go /wallet setup, which I have gone ahead and done, and maybe also moved everything else over. So we might be downsizing to pocket. We'll see. I'll do a flip of this guy next, I think. It's pretty much the exact same setup as this, which is not what I wanted to do, but I have no regrets. I'm really obsessed with it, and yeah, I don't know, everything is cuter in pockets. So purchase number 1, no regret. I really feel like this is something that I'm going to hang on forever, because it's just something that I've wanted for years at this point, and I absolutely love her. The second purchase that I got in was a used Filofax Pocket Finchley, and I don't know, I'm a fangirl of Vivara Peanuts Planner Co, and one of her really old videos. I think it's like a 2018 pocket rings flip. She has this particular cover, and anyway, I pulled up Mercari even though I'm on a low buy, so as you can tell, we'll talk about things I'm doing differently in February. I need to stay off secondhand sites. And I just stumbled upon this for a really good price. I think it was like $30 or $35. And yeah, I checked out. This was an impulse purchase. I really wasn't looking for it. I think I had been binge watching some pocket ring setup videos while I was working on my wallet setup and saw it. Had to have it. Now that she's here, I will say I'm not sure I'm like as in love with it, but right now I'm kind of like deep in the Filofax Ranger era, so I'll hang on to this for a little while and we'll try a setup later in the year. I like the color. It's sort of like a burgundy red versus a super vibrant red, so I think it'll be fun for in the spring. It'll be easy to find in my bag if I set this up as a wallet, and it will be fun around the holiday season. So also this one has bigger rings. The Ranger I think is 15 millimeters and these are 19, so a lot more ring space in this guy. But I would say like right now between the two, I would choose the Ranger and maybe rehome this one. So like a 7 out of 10, 10 out of 10 being zero regret. And then the final item, I can't show you because I'm filming with it, and I had to get a new phone. I film with my iPhone and I feel a little bit silly, and I could potentially take this off this list, but it was a pretty big purchase, so I wanted to add it to my physical items in. But my old phone broke. I went on a really long walk, got dumped on for like 45 minutes, and my jacket wasn't waterproof, and about like a half an inch of water collected in my jacket pocket, and my phone completely bricked. I took it, tried to get it serviced, and it's just, she's dead, unfortunately, and I do need a phone. This is what I film with. This is, you know, how I contact people and all those things. So I did end up getting a new phone. I actually really like it. So I did add that to my physical item in list just because electronics was something that I was thinking I kind of have a bad habit of just like upgrading needlessly, and this wasn't a needless upgrade, but it felt right to put it on my list, so I've got it there for now. Maybe I'll talk myself out of it and take it out of the list later in the year. But anyway, that is my January low buy update. Let me know if you guys are doing any kind of low buy or no buy, how it's going for you, if any of these ideas are helpful, or if you guys have any tips for me. I am aware that everyone's finances are really personal, and sort of our choices and how we make purchases, and we all have a very unique relationship with our stuff, with our finances, and with our planner. So these rules and things that I made with myself in mind. So if you are thinking about doing something similar, try to make rules that keep you, your lifestyle, your budget, yourself in mind, because I think we can all have a little bit of a different definition of a low buy or a no buy, and I think that's totally okay. So anyway, if you guys have any questions, leave them down below if you've made it this long. Thank you so much for being here. We always have a good time, and I'll see you next week.